Hi, I'm Jarita Davis. I'm a member of the AAOC Standing Committee, and I've also been a delegate at the state convention in 2017 and 2018.
Hi, I'm Sharon Stout. I'm one of the deputy treasurers of the Massachusetts Democratic Party. I co-chair the Newton Dems. I have worked the last 5 national Democratic conventions, and I had the pleasure of being a delegate in 2012. Today we're going to talk about how to become a delegate for the 2020 National Convention. Democratic National Convention is going to be held this year, July 13th through 16th in Milwaukee. We're going to walk you through the process of how to become a delegate, and then we're also going to hear from former delegates and their experiences.
Every 4 years, Democrats convene a national convention to choose our nominee for president. In order to select a nominee, a body of Democrats called delegates from every state come together and cast their vote on a Democratic presidential candidate. The candidate with a majority of the vote wins the nomination. The convention is also a good opportunity for the party to discuss and adopt its principles and goals, which is called a platform. As a delegate to the National Convention, you will be part of making history by nominating the next president and vice president of the United States. The 2020 election is critical to changing the course of our democracy. Do you want to be part of changing the course of our country? If yes, work hard for your candidate, run for delegate, and regardless of who wins the nomination, unite to turn out voters and win in 2020.
So you say delegates come together to vote on the Democratic president nominee. Could you explain what the delegates' responsibilities will be?
A delegate is elected to cast one of Massachusetts' votes in support of a Democratic presidential candidate. In Massachusetts, delegates are elected to represent specific candidates or no candidate at all based on the results of the Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020 primary. We'll go more into how that representation is determined later.
So are there different types of delegates?
Yes, there are. There are district-level delegates, at-large delegates, automatic party leaders and elected officials, and pledged party leaders and elected officials, PLEOs. Massachusetts has a total of 114 delegates and 8 alternates who will represent us at the Democratic National Convention in 2020.
So that's cool. What can I run for?
There are 3 different types of delegates that any Massachusetts Democrat can run for. You can run to be a district-level delegate, a district-level alternate, or an at-large delegate. District-level delegates and alternates are elected at a meeting of Democrats in their congressional district, called a caucus, on April 25th, 2020, by local registered Democrats. At-large delegates are elected by the Democratic State Committee at a meeting on May 16th, 2020. Massachusetts has been allotted 59 district-level delegates, 8 district-level alternates, and 20 at-large delegates. If you are interested in running as a district-level, PLEO, or at-large delegate, you must file a statement of candidacy including your presidential preference with the Massachusetts Democratic Party. The delegate candidacy forms will be available on January 13th. If you're running for district-level delegate, you must file your statement of candidacy with the Massachusetts Democratic Party by March 27th. If you are interested in running for PLEO or at-large delegate, you must file your letter of candidacy by April 17th. So make sure you file your statement of candidacy on time, volunteer for your candidate, and recruit supporters to attend this district-level caucus to support your candidacy.
So how does the total number of delegates seats get distributed across all 9 congressional districts?
The number of delegate seats in each congressional district is based off of the Democratic voting turnout in the 2018 midterm elections. The breakdown of how the 59 district-level delegates and 8 district-level alternates is on the screen right now.
While that makes sense, how are the delegates allocated after the March 3rd primary?
We allocate delegates to presidential candidates based on the results of the Massachusetts presidential primary on March 3rd, 2020. Presidential candidates who receive at least 15% of the vote within a congressional district will receive district-level delegates. Presidential candidates who receive at least 15% of the statewide vote will receive at-large delegates. Both at-large and district-level delegates and alternate delegate seats will be divided equally between men and women unless an individual identifies as gender non-binary.
Now, what happens if an individual who identifies as gender non-binary wants to run for delegate?
If a gender non-binary individual is a candidate at the Saturday, April 25th, 2020 caucus, then the election will be done on a single ballot. Congressional districts 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 will begin elections with the female seat, and congressional districts 2, 4, 6, and 8 will begin elections with the male seat. In each district, each delegate position will alternate back and forth between both genders. If a gender non-binary individual is elected, then the gender that was not elected before them will fill the next delegate seat. I know that's a little bit confusing, but I have an example of how that process would go. For example, in Congressional District 1, where they begin with a female seat election, if an individual who doesn't identify with either gender garnered the fourth most votes at the caucus, then the delegate seat selection would go female, male, female, gender non-binary individual, male, female. If you're confused about this process, please don't hesitate to reach out to the Massachusetts Democratic Party at 617-939-0800. We're proud to adjust our system to reflect our values, but know that this can be a confusing process, and we're happy to discuss it further with you.
So thank you, Jarita, for that in-depth review of the delegate selection process. Let's run through a couple of important steps and dates for you to know about the 2020 delegation selection process. Here are the dates that you will need to keep in mind as you run for delegates. Step 1, you must be registered as a Democrat by February 12, 2020 in order to participate in the delegate selection process. Step 2, before you can run as a delegate, you will need to decide on who you want to support and then start campaigning for them. Since Massachusetts allocates delegates to the candidates based on primary results, you will have a better chance of being elected as a delegate if your candidate receives more votes. Step 3, starting on January 13, 2020, you will be able to file your statement of candidacy for any presidential candidate. You can obtain the statements of candidacy and pledge of support forms and filing instructions from MassDems in person or at www.massdems.org. It is important to note that in this filing, you will state who your preferred candidate is and sign a pledge of support for them. You can also file as uncommitted. District level delegates and alternates must file this by 5 p.m. Friday, March 27, 2020. At-large delegate candidates must file by 5 p.m. April 17, 2020. If you filed to run as a district level delegate but did not get elected, you can then run as an at-large delegate if you file with the state party by midnight, April 25, 2020. You must mail your filings to the state party at 11 Beacon Street, Suite 410, Boston, Mass. 02108, or scan and email a signed copy to delegate@massdems.org. You can change your candidacy preference at any time prior to the filing deadline simply by submitting an updated pledge of support. Step 4, please make sure to vote in the March 3rd, 2020 primary, and make sure to encourage others to vote as well. We use these results to determine how many delegates each candidate gets, so be sure to turn out the vote on March 3rd. Step 5, each campaign then approves the candidates running to be their delegates. This is not a state party decision, and campaigns have removed candidates that they are unfamiliar with in the past. This is why it is important you campaign locally for your preferred candidate. Step 6, once you've filed your statement of candidacy and you are approved, it is now time for you to get elected. District level candidates are selected by the Congressional District Caucus. All caucuses will be held on Saturday, April 25th, 2020. Only individuals who have registered as Democrats in that district by February 12th can vote in the caucus. All candidates must be present and given written consent to be nominated. Unless 2/3 of the caucus votes to consider the nomination of the candidate who is not present. This election is a simple majority vote by all members present and voting. Each candidate will be allowed to make a 2-minute speech and distribute materials. At-large candidates are selected by the Democratic State Committee at 10 a.m. on May 16, 2020. This is a public meeting, but only the state committee members can vote. Step 7, once you are elected, it is time to pack your bags and get ready for the National Convention in Milwaukee. Details on accommodations will be provided to you by the state party.
Thank you for those important points. And I think it's also important for folks to hear from past delegates on their experiences from previous conventions. Do you think we can hear from some people?
I know just the people we should hear from.
I think folks should consider running for delegate for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're living in a time where we need to get involved, we need to have a role, we need to feel that we are taking action.
When you go into the caucus as a candidate, expect to be asked questions, expect to be asked why you want to be the representative for all of these people in your particular area.
I wanted to be a delegate because I wanted to bring my voice to the table in a way where usually my identities are not seen everywhere. And by that I mean being a woman, being Puerto Rican, and being a lesbian. To me, those were all important pieces of who I am and what made me stand out as a delegate in the sense of what I was bringing to the table for conversations at the convention.
To enjoy the process, not just at the convention, if you get to go to the convention, but the process of bringing people out to your local caucus. Know that you'll be educating them, or you're giving them the opportunity to educate themselves, which is very exciting, and they get to be a part of the process too.
Wow. What is the convention like?
The convention is really a combination of a lot of responsibility, a lot of structure, but at the same time just an amazing life-changing experience.
You're there for a historic thing. Nobody else will be able to say that they were in your seat at that time, at that particular convention.
It's a lot of fun, and then you realize later on how much you really learned. And
A very, very strict schedule and very long days, but at the same time knowing that it was a really rewarding experience, that relationships that were built there are still to this day in place.
The camaraderie that you build with people from all over the country, everywhere. You just see all kinds of people, all kinds of different perspectives, different kinds of ways to look at different things. And
Well, I think for me the most exciting convention really was my first convention.
the first one was 1984. The next one was 20 years later, 2004.
the electricity in the room, like it was static. It was almost like when you're walking on the carpet in your socks and you touch something and it just sparked. Everything was, you could just, like, I'm getting tingly right now just thinking about it. Like,
A lot of things have changed. A lot of things haven't. It was, and of course, different candidates, different time and place, different country in a way. But the values and the principles and the good people that you're with, that all stayed the same.
the overwhelming feeling of, I'm right here. We are doing this. Like, we are all here together. We are doing this. And when you look around the arena and you see 10, 20,000 people in there and everybody is focused, everybody's doing the same thing, you really, you don't feel so small, even in a room full of, tens of thousands of people.
Regardless of the outcome of all of this, it is the experience of a lifetime, so make sure that you take the time to actually enjoy it and to really just kind of, take in everything that's coming your way, because it goes by really, really fast.
It's a surprise package for you ready to go, whether you have been a delegate before or whether you're a new delegate.
You can never have enough battery and chargers. Do not rely on the fact that there's going to be outlets that you can access for your phones.
Expect to eat a lot. Expect to just not be in your room. Expect to take a nap if you can. If you can catch a nap in between the sessions. Expect to want to do everything.
I didn't realize how much knowledge I was picking up, so when I found I had gained knowledge about forming coalitions, getting other people involved, getting other people motivated.
Expect to go with the flow. Expect to learn a lot. Go with an open mind.
It's something that you will remember for life.
And you leave there and you're talking to everybody and it's just really good. It's just a really good time. And I'm so glad I was able to participate those times. I may think about it this time again. I'm not sure.